There are new details that are emerging about the nearly 11-hour standoff at a Texas synagogue over the weekend. One of the four hostages, Rabbi Charlie Cytron Walker, said on Facebook, quote, "I am grateful that we made it out. I'm grateful to be alive. We feel the same, Rabbi." CBS News has learned that the rabbi spoke with President Biden yesterday. He joins us for an interview you're seeing first on CBS Mornings. Rabbi, good morning to you. We are so glad you're safe and able to be with us. You have no idea how happy we are to see you this morning. Kudos to law enforcement and negotiators that got you out. And so I want to know how you're processing all of this. I saw interviews with some of your congregation over the weekend that said it was terrifying just watching it. I can't imagine what it was like for you and your fellow hostages to be there.
Well, it was terrifying. It was overwhelming. And we're still processing. It's been a lot. It's completely overwhelming.
Yeah, you know, I saw interviews with law enforcement officials who were crediting you with being so calm and collected during this time. How were you able to stay calm when you're dealing with someone who doesn't appear to mind dying?
I guess you do what you have to do. As a part of rabbinic training, as a part of training as clergy, we talk a lot about the idea of being a calm, non-anxious presence. We do that in hospital rooms. We do that during the most difficult of individual moments. And I did the best I could to do that throughout the stand-up.
Rabbi, as we understand it, the hostage taker knocked on the glass door of the synagogue, and you thought he might need some shelter, so you let him in, made a cup of tea for him. At what point after that did things turn and you realized he wasn't here for shelter?
When I took him in, I stayed with him. Making tea was an opportunity for me to talk with him. And in that moment, I didn't hear anything suspicious. Some of his story didn't quite add up, so I was a little bit curious, but that's not necessarily an uncommon thing. It was during prayer, while we were praying, and my back was turned. We face towards Jerusalem when we pray. Right before he revealed himself, but this was, plenty of time in. I heard a click, and it could have been anything. And it turned out that it was his gun.
Were you and any of the other hostages?
Say that again, please. Sorry.
Were you and any of the other hostages ever physically hurt or threatened by this man? Did he harm you physically?
Well, I guess we were threatened the entire time, but no, fortunately, none of us were physically injured. He didn't strike.
You hear that click? That's got to be absolutely terrifying. I've heard you say that the congregation had training not that long ago for a situation where someone drew a gun, and that's what saved your life. How so?
Well, so for the past few years, we've had training with, but it's not training. It's, I guess, courses, instruction with the FBI, with the Colleyville Police Department, with the Anti-Defamation League, with Secure Communities Network. And they really teach you in those moments that when your life is threatened, you need to do whatever you can to get to safety. You need to do whatever you can to get out. And
Rabbi,
as he was... Oh,
go ahead.
Sorry. When the last hour or so of the standoff, he wasn't getting what he wanted. He was getting, it didn't look good. It didn't sound good. We were terrified. And when I saw an opportunity, where he wasn't in a good position, made sure that the two gentlemen who were still with me, that they were ready to go. The exit wasn't too far away. I told them to go. I threw a chair at the gunman, and I headed for the door. And all three of us were able to get out without even a shot being fired.
Rabbi, it's amazing. And you talk about that training and that leading to some of this. You know, for so many people, when we saw this headline, we thought of Pittsburgh right away and the Tree of Life. And I'm curious, knowing how some people there feel about going back into their synagogue, which they have not done as a congregation. Have you thought about going back to your congregation at this point, back into that building?
Oh, of course. It's something that we're definitely going to do. Unfortunately, we've experienced just great difficulty and challenge as a people. And at the same time, we've experienced great resilience. It won't necessarily be an easy thing, but it's a really important thing. And a synagogue is a place, it's called the Beit Knesset. It's a house of assembly. It's where we gather. It's a place where we gather as a community. It's a place where we pray together. And it's been really hard since, some of the community was in person. I'm so grateful that we only had a few people in person and we had other people joining us online. But the fact that it was only a few of us had to experience, all of us experienced trauma, but just a few of us had to experience that level of trauma is just one of so many things that I'm grateful for.
Well, and so many are grateful that you were there with them, obviously, in that moment and knowing what to do. Rabbi, I know that the Jewish community and all faiths were praying with you yesterday. Thank you, Rabbi Charlie Cytron Walker. We appreciate you sharing your story.
And I just want to give thanks and appreciation for all of the love and all of the support from the Jewish community, my people, from the Muslim community, from the Christian community, from all faiths, all backgrounds, friends, acquaintances, strangers, all over the world. It's truly been overwhelming. Thank you so much.
Rabbi, thank you.
So good to see you.